This is Rebecca Lowe, or Rebecca Lua if you listen to Suboptimal Radio, and you are listening to Men in Blazers on the NBC Sports Network.
It's unbelievable!
Welcome to a Men in Blazers La Liga pod special. This weekend, thank God, Spanish top-flight football returns to our lives. My excitement, partly for the football, but mostly because with it returns one of the most distinctive voices in American soccer announcing. Arlo White may be our Dickens, but this man is our Cervantes. We welcome to the pod to help us preview all things La Liga, a man whose ebullience knows no bounds, and thank God for that. Fresh back from the dentists, the one and only Mr. Ray Hudson.
Hey, Rog, how are you doing?
I'm better than you, Ray. Tell us that an Englishman fears two things, the Germans and the dentist. Give us a teeth update, Ray. What's going on?
I just had to get a lot of work done, and I was telling you on the drive here, Rog, it was I had more work done to it than the highway and I-95 gets done to it. The poor doctor, I haven't seen him for 8 years, and he fully understands. He says, "Yeah, you're English, right?" And that about sums it up, you know.
So does that mean we're getting Ray Hudson on Novocaine?
Yeah. Remember that song in the 70s? I've got Novocaine running around my brain. It was a big hit, Rog. Big hit. I remember grooving to that one.
It's going to come back again, Ray, now you've sung that. But I've got to say, Ray Hudson on Novocaine is a rare honour. Some would say we're getting pure Ray.
I'm not sure, Rog. My face looks like a Picasso painting, and it feels like it. I'm smiling through half of my mouth here.
Blue nude Ray Hudson. I love it. I got someone that cares nothing more than about the growth of football in the United States. I both adore and revere you, Ray Hudson.
You're very kind, Rog, very kind. It's been a fun trip ever since I got here in '77 and seen this game mushroom out of all proportion. And, on the television, in the domestic leagues, these wonderful tours that get set up by Charlie Stilitano, bringing all the world's great clubs right into your own backyard. Who'd have ever thought they'd see that in front of sold-out stadiums, 110,000 in Michigan's Big House. My God, wonderful.
I've got to say, there's wonderful things going on. There's many forces that have brought it to play. Few have done more to grow a love of the game here than you.
You know, Roger, it's been one of them journeys where I arrived as a player first and then went through the process of that and had a wonderful season in the North American Soccer League and saw the halcyon days of playing with and against George Best and Pelé, Beckenbauer, Cruyff and all of that. And then going into the transition of TV journalism through MLS and weaning my way through that and coming around to this situation later on in my life, and of course the wonderful inclusion of being a coach in Major League Soccer with the Miami Fusion, the great DC United. Happy memories, Rog, and a real wonderful alphabet of learning is what it's been in a country that it's always going to be battling against the tide. It's always going to be hard, but you feel now that this game is so established, the foundations are really deep now, and we can just go up. So it's great to have seen being one of those first ones over the turrets, with the helmets on, and we were the real leaders back then in the 70s, and it's come to this, and it's absolutely wonderful. We're spoiled rotten with the game now in this country. Nobody has it good in anywhere in the world than the American public now in the United States with this game the way it is now.
I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly, and we are spoiled rotten because we're spoiled rotten by having you, a man who is less a commentator, although that's what it says on your business card, league commentator, for being, to me, you're a poet. The touches Messi delivers are soft like the petals on a rose. Messi shanks it. It's as sloppy as a soup sandwich. Where do these come from? Do you just wander around Fort Lauderdale and they pop into your head and you write them down in a big book of Ray notes? Or do they come on the spur of the moment?
Yeah, it's the lessons of life, really, Roger. It's a lifetime of learning from my father when he used to read me Dickens as a young lad, and how I was so involved with that intricacy of the English language and the expressionism. That hooked me somehow. When I went through high school, English was my favourite subject, and I had a wonderful, wonderful school teacher named Sally Herdman. God bless her, rest in peace. And she extended her love of the English language through to us, and we thought she had bats in the belfry. We thought she was a lunatic, but her passion for the language. She used to say, children, you can do anything with this English language of ours. And she'd recite Shakespeare right off the top of her head. And she'd look at those words, and she says, look at the meaning of them. And she would tell us to use it like a plasticine. She says, mold it, stretch it. She says, you'll never hurt it. You can always be more expressive the next time. And those words of Sally always stuck with me somehow. And when we're watching these players now, Rog, in the APL and in Spain and in Italy and France and in South America, it's all throughout Europe, these artisans of the game now, I think they deserve a higher platform of, oh, that was a brilliant goal, that was wonderful. No, they need more. When Barcelona play, they don't just connect the passes, they connect the dots. They make a Seurat painting out of them. And when Messi comes to town, it's like betting against Wyatt Earp. They're the sorts of expressionisms that are totally crazy and off the wall. Some people love them. Some people think, he's too much. But I think in this country, at the time when we've been trying to hook people into the game, Rog, I think that sort of expansion of the language of these players that deserve to be decorated with a verbal dichotomy that does their wonderful expansive skill justice. And I don't care that I'll say things like about Cristiano Ronaldo. If he saw a Rorschach bolt, he'd see a goal every time. These are things that are abstract, but somehow they seem to fit into the moments of the game.
Well, Ray, I agree with you largely. The only thing I don't agree with you is when you say Sally said you can always push the language further. I don't agree with you when I'm talking to the man who once said nothing less than the equivalent of a footballing bird of paradise. He's like Dr. Spock. He's out of his, what's the phrase? He's out of his...
Vulcan mind.
Oh, he flies up this field at warp speed, Dr. Spock. Warp speed. And then you said it so beautifully, magisterial Argentina, magisterial Leo. And Sally, you're no longer with us, but I'm sure you're looking down and listening to this pod when your man said, running like he's got a food mixer down his shorts and it's set to beat. I don't think you can do better than that, Ray.
Yeah, you know what, Raj?
I'm reading a tattoo on my forearm when I'm reading that. I've had it tattooed on my forearm.
Yeah, I tell you, the set to beat one was the one that came out of the blue because I use that expression in a number of different ways. You always try to vary them. He's running with it. He's running like he's got a live lobster down his shorts. But when the food mixer came down, because that was the only speed on the damn food mixer that I ever used was beat, and it just came in a moment.
That was the kicker. A lot of commentators can do the food mixer, but none will keep going today. And it's set to beat. Here's one for you. You should try and slip this one into the opening weekend. Oh, this game is tighter than a chafe nipple in an Arsenal shirt. Slip that one in. Who are your inspirations? Is it Muhammad Ali? Is it Grandmaster Flash? Is it Allen Ginsberg?
As a sports personality, the King was always the greatest. Ali was the king of them all. I feel sorry for these people now who look at boxing and think that these men, the wonderful athletes that they are anywhere close to what Ali and Frazier were in those days. It was wonderful, and he was certainly an inspiration on the personality level.
Question from one of our listeners at Sophie Gator. Want to know about Ray Hudson. Ray, honestly, who'd win in a battle for the longest orgasm sound after a goal? You or Gary Neville?
I think I would top Gary on that one because I remember. I think it was he only did it maybe once, and he got he got so much publicity over it, and I thought, good for you. That's you. That's your soul coming out. Sometimes when we see these goals or these wonderful moments, Rog, that's what it's like inside of you. It's like your soul banging against your rib cage, wanting to get out. It's what we all experience when we go to watch the Seattle Sounders, when we go to watch Barcelona, when we go to watch DC United or Real Madrid or Newcastle or Arsenal or Juventus. That moment, there's nothing like it in the world. You can't go to any theatre in the world and experience that. And it was good to hear Neville come out with that wonderful, like you say, that orgasm. Yep. And it's bloody wonderful.
Yeah, really what Ray's saying, Gary, is you call that an orgasm, this is an orgasm. Ray, you're synonymous with La Liga. You talk about the theatre, you talk about the cathedral. Unbelievably, you didn't go to the Nou Camp, Barcelona's beautiful, a cathedral, a footballing cathedral, until last season.
Yeah.
There's a lovely film being shot of you there. It's gorgeous, and if you've not seen it, listeners, just Google this. It will lift your spirits. It's of Ray Hudson in the Barcelona Museum, watching a video they have there in the permanent display of Lionel Messi's goals, and at the climax of this video, Ray there for the first time hears his own commentary on one of his goals. It was all a bit too much for you to hear your own words in such a religious, holy place.
Yeah.
You started sobbing, Ray.
Yeah.
What feelings did you experience in that moment?
No, it was just so moving beyond belief. I mean, I had went through the whole Barcelona tour of their museum and their stadium, throughout all the dressing rooms, and it's with everybody else. And then finally you walk along this massive wall of huge television screens that show the history of Barcelona from its starting point, and it leads all the way through to the end, and you keep walking along and seeing them, and then at the end, the culminating point, the apex of the presentation signs off with one of Messi's dynamic goals, magical goals, and they use my voice to describe it. And I had tears the size of pineapple chunks, Rog, rolling down my face, and it was just to be felt, to be recognised and to be appreciated on that level, in that place, with that player, that you will be for eternity linked with Lionel Messi in Barcelona. It's sublime. It's sublime. It makes your life. You think, well, I was here for a reason.
I honestly, Ray, there's no doubt about that. Some would even say, me included, that when Lionel Messi plays for Argentina and they're not on being, he doesn't know what to do without you telling him what to do, Ray. I think there's a deep spiritual connection between the two of you. Yeah. Let's talk about La Liga, because the English Premier League, it's the most watched league in the world.
Sure.
How would you describe La Liga? Is it the most successful, the most tactically adept?
No, I think it's just, for me, it's the more skillful league. That skill, first and foremost, in the quality of the football. And you look at the way Spain has dominated in the times of, television has grown in this part of the world, and in North America, Rog. It was Spain winning the World Cup. It was Spain winning the Euros on either side of that World Cup. It's been Barcelona or Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid and Sevilla and Valencia, these types of teams that have been predominant in European football, arguably world football, and that's conveyed in the domestic league. It's an expressionism that is my type of football. The pace of the game, the athleticism of the game, the robust nature may not, even the atmosphere may not hold a candle to the EPL. I will absolutely grant you that, but that part of it isn't what turns me on. What hits my buttons are those brilliant players that play in La Liga and the teams that are constructed. I could watch like Rayo Vallecano any day over a number of EPL teams because simply of the quality of the football. It's my type of football. I just wish we could market La Liga the same way as the geniuses at the English Premier League have, and I also wish that the fans of England that turn out and that makes the game for me. But for me, Rog, Spanish football is just tops. It's just my type of game.
Well, let's look at some of these teams. Let's go through what we think is going to happen, what you think is going to happen. Let's start at the obvious place, Ray, with Barcelona, the Lolita to your Humbert. Last season, Barca swept everyone away with Messi, Neymar and Luis Suarez, the best performing trio since Bananarama. We've seen with Chelsea in the Premier League just how hard it is to defend the title.
That's right.
Do you see Barcelona being as hungry this season, keeping that hunger, keeping that desire?
Yeah, it's always a real battle for the title, whether it is between 2 or 3 teams, and every game comes down to that sort of looking at the other team and seeing how they do. With Barcelona, after a phenomenal year last year where they won the treble and did it with such panache and style and flair, we were entertained in a manifestly brilliant, beautiful way. Can they do it again? Do they have the desire? Who knows? They haven't been able to spend exorbitantly either. They've got Arda Turan and Alex Vidal, so that's going to bolster them a little bit. But the lack of cover as well is a concern. If you take away Suarez out of that number 9 spot, they ain't got anybody to come in and fit in. They'll do it somewhere. They'll shift their pieces around, but I can imagine this year the likes of these squad players like Bartra, Munir, and Vermeulen is like a new signing itself. But it comes down to that front 3 in the midfield for me.
Are there any young stars you expect to emerge from La Masia this year and become household names like Munir, El Haddadi, Sergei Samper, Sandro Ramirez?
Yeah, for me, it's still Rafinha. He, for me, is leaps and bounds ahead of most of the others. I'm continually disappointed with a couple of them that get their opportunities handed to them and don't take full advantage of it. Marc Bartra is one I think will endure, and he will come through. He's another top-class player. We're talking about Barcelona, though, Rog, you're talking about coming in and replacing those types of extraordinary players. It's very difficult for those kids to get in and establish themselves. But I think they'll be fine as long as they keep themselves fit, because we saw in this last sequence when Athletic Bilbao beat them very easily in that first game, how tired and depleted they were from an exhaustive pre-season trip. It took its toll on them.
Yeah,
and credit Bilbao, because they made them pay, and sure that Barcelona can be found out on a bad day. It just doesn't happen very often.
I mean, they start against Athletic. Are they going to get to win at the third time of asking? They got a bit of the Super Cup bottom spanking, no Neymar, no reinforcements because of the transfer ban, Gerard Piqué suspended, Pedro gone to Chelsea, Adna Turan, Alex Vidal not allowed to play until January because of the club's transfer ban. Is it going to take until January until we see the best of Barcelona?
Well, I think they better get it right before January, Rog, because by then it might be too late unless they win these early games, and it's a hard road as well ahead of them. You look at the games they have in the early part of this season, beginning on Sunday at Athletic Club. That's going to be a hell of a welcome they're going to get there, and they're going to need to be right. And as you say, they're already depleted, missing some key players. But I think they'll step up, and it'll be a completely different game in San Mamés on Sunday. But I still fancy Barcelona to show their class and their intent of protecting their title.
Real Madrid, the Rafa Benitez era begins. The guy who looks like a younger, more handsome me returns to the club where he began his career as both a player and a coach with the reserve team Castilla. We've got a very interesting situation that he's inheriting. They've been Cristiano Ronaldo's team. When they won the Champions League 2 seasons ago, Ronaldo scored an incredible 48 league goals. But this season, Gareth Bale is going to be the man playing centrally. Is Ronaldo going to take this well, or is the Bale-Ronaldo relationship going to be like a piece of flapping skin?
Yeah, who would be in Rafa Benitez's shoes, handling these egos and personalities. And he's got to do it on three fronts, Rog. I mean, really, he's got to take them deep into the European Champions League again. Even if he wins La Liga, he might be fired at the end of the year if he doesn't win the big cup again. But let's be honest, Real Madrid had a poor season last year. Despite the fact that Cristiano was superlative with his goal-scoring prowess, and Gareth Bale really started to establish himself in a major way. They'll be looking for more from Benzema in that midfield. The signings that they've got there, and the Croatian just signed, that's going to be a very, very wonderful player to watch. It's going to be a competition for places, but I think Rafa wants it that way. I think he'll rotate this team. Kovacic will come into this squad when needed, but and they've got Varane stepping in for Pepe probably on Sunday as well, so they've got cover there at the back of the high order. Varane's a fabulous player, but there's a long road ahead for Real Madrid with a new boss, a new feeling that they've got to really re-establish themselves. And people know Rafa Benitez. He can be a prickly pear at the best of times.
Oh, yeah.
And this crowd will turn on him very early if he doesn't get it right.
I mean, you've got so much uncertainty. Iker Casillas' departure in goal,
Sure.
the mooted return of David De Gea to Spain, young Colts, Jesse, Denis Cheryshev getting a little bit of kind of young buck buzz, all the coming and going.
Yeah.
But to me, it looks like a man who resembles a 16th century landless peasant, Luka Modric, who again is key to them having a great season.
Yeah, remember, this is a guy who was vilified and was voted by the Madridistas as probably the worst signing they've ever made in 10 years or something like that. But, man, he battled through those tough times, and he came on and I think enhanced his game tremendously. As much as I like him, I love Kovacic more, but he's a different type of player. Both Croatian, of course. I like saying Croatia, not Croatia. Beautiful footballers, but Kovacic is a different type. But that midfield, Rog, Isco, are they going to find a place for him? He's a diamond of a footballer, and every time Isco has been in, the crowd adore him, which increases the pressure on the other lads to step up to that level. Toni Kroos is another one who really impressed me in wearing the white shirt last year. And there's others, the Illaramendi, he'll probably have to be gone. He's never going to get a sniff. Casemiro is another one that's a superlative footballer and brings a real bait.
You're making Stoke City's scouts salivate when you're mentioning all this surplus Spanish footballer that's there. If these two teams both falter, hard to imagine in Spain, but both Barcelona with their January signings waiting to click in, and Rafa Benitez's Real Madrid, who's next in line to swoop in and benefit in your mind?
Atletico for me. I mean, obviously, I don't see, as well as Valencia played in the European pre-game rounds, they impress, and they're a good side, Valencia, as is Sevilla and Villarreal. I think they're all going to have great seasons. But Atletico, this is a team, that continually, seemingly rebuilds themselves, but they lose their forwards regularly. They lost a world-class goalkeeper. They've got this wonderful goalkeeper that came in, Jan Oblak, who was magnificent last season. Koke, another one who I'm surprised they've been able to hold on to him. But he's got to improve his game this year, I think, Roger, and become even a more responsible central dictator in that midfield. Jackson Martinez, can't wait to see him play. And they've got other players that they've been so shrewd in acquiring these dangerous players. Simeone does it beautifully. This guy Torres as well, not El Nino, Oliver Torres, who played for Porto last year. He could become a real, talking point for everybody that watches La Liga.
The other one's Luciano Vieto, the young Argentinian.
Yes, wonderful player. The Argentines are stacked, and Vieto had a wonderful season last year as well. Antoine Griezmann, of course, is their infant terrible. He's a wonderful player and has improved his game arguably more than any other midfield player, striker in world football.
They've lost Arda Turan, they've lost Mario Mandzukic, João Miranda and Mario Suarez. But with all of these new arrivals, it does seem like this Atletico side have got the potential to return to the kind of buccaneering, swaggering squad culture that Simeone inculcated in the Diego Costa era.
Yeah, I agree. And the way he's massaged this team, psychologically, as much as how he's fed into this team his own personality, this boss has done absolutely amazing. I mean, Simeone brings in these players and enhances them almost overnight. There's so many examples of it. And Gabi's still there, the captain, who's always inspirational. They get Felipe Luis back from Chelsea, of course, so he's
rested.
Yep, well rested. He's returning home under, the way he is loved. Look what happened to El Nino last year as well when he got back. He started hitting the high notes, Fernando Torres. So that city, that club, has a wonderful effect on these players. These are serious contenders, make no mistake.
I think for me a lot depends, as you mentioned, on Koke's ability, not just to impose himself on opponents, but to do so in midfield consistently all season. You've got Valencia, beneficiary of Peter Lim's millions. Their pre-season preparation disrupted, no doubt, by Otamendi and his move to Manchester City. Sevilla won the Europa League and have added on that squad with Immobile and Premier League refugees Gael Kakuta from Chelsea and Steven Nzonzi from Stoke. A question from a GFOP at Ty Torres. Ray, who is going to be, or is there a La Liga dark horse this year?
I want to say Villarreal, because they're always such an entertaining team. They just don't seem to pack that heavyweight punch. And in all honesty, Rog, Valencia, can you consider them a dark horse? Well, outside the top three, Valencia probably are. The one that could actually spring a surprise. They've got the players. They lost so many points last year. I think it was something like 9 or 10 or 11 draw games that they were within one goal last year. If they can find just that 5%, and I know how hard that is as a coach and a player, but under Nuno Espirito Santo, the best coach's name in world football, of course, he can draw that out of them, I think. And I think that team, for me, might have something to say. They're a hell of a hard team to beat at home, and on the road, they're always a good sign. Santi Mina is a good signing for them. I'm looking forward to watching him. And Enzo Perez at number 10, he's a nice footballer. And I thought he had a good game the other night against Monaco.
Second best coach's name in world football, that would be Ray, of course. A mistake by you. You forgot about the name David Moyes. At Real Sociedad, his first full season, the entire first team returns. Do you expect David Moyes to see out the year in Spanish football? He went through his first year pretty well. He didn't exactly serve up the most scintillating football. Beat Barcelona, so that's always going to be in his feather, big feather in his cap. They're always a tough side, very, very hard to break down, always well organised. That should suit David Moyes. They've got a lovely player in Sergio Canales as well, a player that I've always loved, the ex-Real Madrid player in midfield. Defensively tough,
I still think they'll be bubbling under. It'll be, a rich man's version of Newcastle United.
Well, we that's an oxymoron. But we're going to get your predictions on this season in 1 second. Before we do, a question from a listener at CoolDork7 wants to know, Ray, has there ever been a football moment that you've witnessed that left you, Ray Hudson, speechless?
I think the one that comes to mind was this overhead kick that Ronaldinho scored for Barcelona, which was, I think it was against Villarreal. It was in the book of that Ibrahimovic overhead kick that he scored against England. But Ronnie set himself up even better than that. When Ibra did it, it was spellbinding beyond belief. I wasn't on that game, but I was on the Ronaldinho magical kick, the overhead kick, bicycle kick. It was a starburst. It was beyond belief. The ball came into him as he was moving away from the goal and took it on his chest and set himself up. He'd already taken 1,000 pictures in that wonderful crystal ball that he's got in his head, and take everything, the planets and the moon into account. He took all of the wind into account, had all of his angles, his azimuth angles and all the rest of that stuff, down to the minutes and seconds, and he absolutely nailed it. That was a spectacular moment, and I nearly actually started choking Phil Shane next to me just out of pure emotion.
Did Phil give you the Heimlich?
Yeah. It was just those types of moments, those types of goals, just send you really over the edge, and you've still got to maintain. You've got to separate your footballing spirit and your fan passion, and remember that you're supposed to be conveying to these millions of people watching what just happened. And how do you convey magic like that? How do you do it with just words? I don't think you can. I think that's why the emotion is laced throughout most of my verbal commentary.
Yeah.
I kind of separate it, Roger.
The poetry of tingling nipples. That's all I can tell you. Let's move off the issue of that, because you're making my nipples tingle. I've got to get your predictions. You've got to put us out on misery. Who is going to be the bottom three in La Liga this season, Ray?
The bottom three, I think Eibar for sure. They were brilliant last year in the start of the season, then they went into a terrible free fall. Elche, of course, were their saviours, because Eibar would have went down last year. Elche couldn't pay the tax man, so Eibar got to stay up. Granada as well is a team that I think's always been lingering around for the longest time, but man, they show up for the big games, Roger. Always surprises me. I think Granada will go down though, and maybe Levante. They would be my three: Eibar, Granada, and Levante. But I think the other one that might be a surprise in the struggling department, a well-run club and a really a talented team in past years. Of course, we remember De La Peña, is Espanyol. And I was looking at their roster. They've lost some real good key players. So we might see the Parakeets, hovering in that nasty area in the bottom three as well. But Eibar, Granada, Levante, I think they'll take the drop.
All right, we've talked about sadness. Let's talk about joy. The top four in reverse order, as seen, prophesied by Ray Hudson.
The top four, I'd go Valencia, I'd go Atletico Madrid, I'd go Barcelona, and I'd go Real Madrid as champions. How about that?
Rafa Benitez, footballing genius. I've got a sense it's going to be Las Palmas. Yeah, my money's on Las Palmas, Los Amarillos. Come on, they're going to win it all. Just give it.
Listen, they're a team. You're seeing it. I think you're kidding around, Rog. I never know with you, but Las Palmas is a very, very fanatical crowd base as well, as is the other lads, Real Betis and Sporting Gijón. I mean, these are virtual sellout stadiums every week, and the new boys on the block are going to bring their passionate support And that part of it, it's going to be on display this weekend. When Real Madrid, the Royal Whites, go to visit Sporting Gijon, they're going into an absolute, witch's cauldron there. So they better be ready.
I love David Garcia of Las Palmas. I love anyone that's always played with the same club. Just tell me succinctly, why Real Madrid? What is it in your gut that says this is going to be their season?
The moment is now for them to really respond and come together. I think they've got a coach that people criticise for in many, many ways for being too defensive. But I think the way he'll set up this Real Madrid team defensively is going to be very strong. We saw it in the pre-season, the indications. How much are they going to miss Casillas? I mean, the knockers can say what they like, but Casillas pulled them out of the doo-doo a lot of times. They ain't got him. Any team that wins a title, any title, whether it be in England or Spain or Italy, they have world-class goalkeepers. That's the only concern that I have with Real Madrid, is the man between the sticks. They are international class, no question about it. But are they world-class the way Casillas was? I'm not so sure. But I still would back them to win the title and take the glory away from Barcelona again.
I cannot wait to watch the season unfold. I mean, Ray, I have to say, you've seen it all between Newcastle and Fort Lauderdale, English football, the great NASL and La Liga. We've got a lot of young listeners who listen to this show. If we were to ask Ray for some Ray Hudson life advice, what pearl of wisdom would you offer us?
No, Roger, I'm no philosopher, that's for sure. I don't have children of my own. That would have been a nightmare, probably. So it's not one to pass on. But I've always lived my life in a real Christian way, and you treat people as you would like to be treated. I think if the world did that a lot more, and people did that a lot more, we'd all be a lot happier tribe. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just enjoy your life, but always treat people the way you would like to be treated, and I think you'll be happy.
Oh, I need a cuddle, Ray. After listening to that, I will say to you and to the great Phil Shane and also to Kay Murray and everybody over at BM, we wish you a great season ahead. I'll say La Liga will be on BN Sports all weekend and every weekend going forward. This the pick of the fixtures for me is Athletic Bilbao versus Barcelona at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. Ray, we wish you Godspeed. We hope to hear many footballing orgasms emerge from your microphone into our living room.
Thanks so much, Roger. It's a pleasure talking to you. Always is a great company. Look forward to seeing you, hopefully in New York soon as well.
Very soon, Ray. Very soon. Godspeed. We will raise a pint together, hopefully in the company of many.
I hope, if I were having a pint here now, Roger, it'd be pouring down my face because it's still all sealed up with that Novocaine.
It's just called Thursday night in Fort Lauderdale.
I think it was infiltrating my brain a little bit in this interview as well, so forgive me.